have to learn about classes. Okay. So, in the ancient days, I don't know, like 2005 or something, there were some relatively bitter disputes between the software engineers that thought the reason you learn to program is like so you can make your manager happy, or like something to that effect, and the computer scientists that thought computer science was sort of like an academic discipline where you used the scientific method and like peer review and stuff like that. It was thought that not too long after the dot-com boom, this was decided like very strongly in favor of the software engineers. Virtually everyone that knew how to program had a job in software engineering, was working for a company with a name like Hewlett-Packard or Google or something, and was basically like writing code that made someone else money, right? By the time I got into undergraduate in 2011, there were these sort of like small pockets left of computer science programs that sort of taught computer science as like one of the sciences. And they were like really minoritized, and it was relatively difficult for students coming out of those programs to get jobs unless they took sort of dedicated classes that were specifically designed for career training separate from the curriculum. So for example, I think like, I don't know, I took like some econ classes or something, right? Anyways, coming out of that program, what I ended up doing is I never got a job in software. I worked for Seagate, which designed hard drives, and I designed control systems for hard drives. I worked for the United States Forest Service, and then I worked for the faceless evil multinational corporation Lockheed Martin, building weapons for the government, and specifically, I can't say what I did. I designed an operating system. But the operating system is importantly not a piece of software, right? You don't get it on a little CD and put it in your computer, as we did in 2011. You don't download it off the internet and then run it on your computer, as we do with something like Firefox, right? So I never wrote software. I was sort of looking around for jobs that didn't require someone to use software, because I never really learned to write software. And then, I thought this was how things were going to be forever. It was sort of just assumed that the software people were going to win. Then 2020 COVID shut the world down. Everyone went home and didn't have to listen to their manager for 3 weeks. And they all just refused to use the programming languages that were used to write software because they were bad and everyone hated them, and everyone that knew how to program didn't want to use them. The outcomes of this are two things, and two of them have affected you immediately already. There was a big struggle leading up to COVID to try and get introductory classes out of Java, which in my opinion is the worst programming language ever made, and into Python, which is pretty good. It's like a top 5 language or something like that. Great language for instruction. I don't know how much you like Python. I think it's hard to appreciate Python without knowing how much pain you'd be going through if we were teaching Java, right? But Java was really awful. I taught Java for 1 semester. And essentially what I did is I taught Python, and then I just taught them how to translate it into Java. And everyone was able to tolerate that pretty well, right? This course, CS 151 at Willamette University, is a Java language course. It is translated into Python. I think many of the translation stages do not make sense. PGL is, for example, a Java library. So if there's things about PGL that seem odd to you, that's because you're programming in Java when you're working with it. I disagreed with this, and we don't really have a great alternative. Beginning today with classes, which I'm going to turn on the screen here. Beginning with classes, we're going to teach to you, and I do agree you need to know this, we're going to teach to you what I believe is a dead ideology that has been disproven, that has cost the U.S. economy between $2 and $5 trillion. Like, that's what I think I'm teaching you today, right? And I'm allowed to say this because I'm still going to teach you the content, right? If you don't like this stuff, if it doesn't make sense to you, that means you should study computer science, because not liking this stuff is an indicator that you like computer science, right? If you do like this, you should study computer science so you can get rich, okay? So if you like money or hate this, you should stick with this class, okay? The degree to which I found this an unnatural way to do this was I've worked through all of the same projects you did, and I never wrote a single class for any of them. And then I went to talk to the people in charge of this course. They said, oh, the point of those 2 assignments were to teach students why they have to use classes. So some of what's going on in the next few courses, as I'm going to be intentionally teaching you to solve problems what I think is the wrong way. So just be ready for that, be emotionally prepared for that. Now, it may sound like I'm talking nonsense, so I'm actually going to provide some citations for what I'm saying. But before I do that, right now you're working on ImageShop. ImageShop is not yet object-oriented. It is not, it's kind of in translation from Java. But most of what you're doing on ImageShop, right, is you're just doing indices, right? And you're going to do the histogram thing a little bit. So you're going to have to use 1 degree of misdirection, or you're going to have to look at a list of lists, use it to generate a list of values, and then use that list of values to change the values in the list of lists. So you're going to have to go back and forth between 2 lists. That's probably just something you haven't done before. So you're gonna have to figure out how to do it. You'll have to remember the names of variables. You'll have to remember to use indices, and you'll have to know how to look things up. And one of the big things that's going to be going on is you're going to be taking a value and then using it as an index, and then using the value at that index as a value at the index. So it's like you're going to be going back and forth between values and indices. It's fine. You'll do it. You're going to crush. I hope you're working well on this. I hope if your PGL exploded, someone can fix it other than me, because I don't know Java. So good luck. I have some thoughts about what your upcoming midterm is going to be, and I haven't implemented them yet. So hopefully I can get through those this weekend and give you 1 practice exam. But don't worry about that. This is sort of the same as with Wordle, where just worry about the project. Midterms are kind of whatever. Okay. I'm going to editorialize, and I'm going to editorialize a lot. Because I was very heavily involved on the front lines of switching introductory computer science out of Java, beginning in 2018 when I started teaching Python at UNC, in 2019 when I taught Python at Elon University, which at that time was the #1 ranked undergraduate institution in the country. I helped teach introductory computer science in first Racket, which is like a fake made-up language that doesn't exist, and then they changed to Python at U Chicago while I was there. And then I came here, and I was overjoyed to hear they were teaching in Python until I looked at the curriculum and realized we were teaching what I call, this is kind of a joke, Intro to Java in Python, right? We teach you to write Python or Java using Python. Here is something that I think illustrates well one of the concerns I have with the idea of classes and objects. And it's fairly simple. Say you want to join 2 strings together. Some of these things work and some of these things don't. So to me, it was never clear why, if I have, we'll have a string 1, which is going to be hello, and I'm going to put a space at the end, and a string 2, which is going to be world, and I'm going to put a space at the end again. Say I put this into a list of strings, L of S, and that's S1, S2. So if I want to turn that list of strings into just one big string, how do I do it, right? And so if I had a list of integers, we'll take I1 12 and I2 15, and I had L of I, which equals I1, I2, and I'm just going to print what L of I is before going any further. That's 12, 15. I can simply take the sum of this, L of I, and I'm going to print the sum. And I think it's going to be 27. Does that sound right? Okay, so the sum is 27. So sometimes when we want to do operations over a list, we simply take a function and we apply it to the list. This made sense to me. There's some other things we can do. We can look at the length of LOI, and we can see that it has length 2. We can do the same thing with list of strings. For example, the list of strings is 2. You don't believe me? I heard you not believing me. I'm going to print out the list of strings. It's hello and world. So the length is 2. And then, for example, if I were to print out, let's see, string 1 plus string 2, I would get hello world. If I were to print out I1 plus I2, I will get 27. Okay, this all makes sense, right? Okay. So what happens if I take the sum of L of S? would the sum not simply apply plus to all of the elements the same way it did with integers?
Sure.
No. For some reason, that doesn't work, right? And why doesn't that work? I don't know, right? Like, that was just, I was shocked the first time this happened. What you have to do instead to get this to work is you have to join. Why do you join? I don't know. Oh, that still doesn't work. Join is not actually a function in Python like sum is. You have to look inside a string. So you do an empty string. You take two quotes, and then you put a dot at the end of it, because inside of every string in Python, there lives the join method. And then this maybe does what you want. But is this not the worst thing you've ever seen in your life? Right? Like, you don't have to agree with me, right? This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And then I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what happens if I don't just put an empty string there? What if I put, like, I don't know, what's someone's favorite planet that's not Earth? Jupiter. I'm going to spell it like the Notebook. Okay. Oh, when you join on that, you're actually putting whatever the contents of that string is between every element of the list. This is so obvious. Who wouldn't have thought of doing this? Right? So my claim is this is bad. That's what this slide says. This is bad. Okay, right? I have previously taught you a little bit about ID and how, for example, if I take x equal to 1, and then I say x, and we say y equals to 1. We say x is equal to y. We'll print that. And we'll also print x is y. Those are both true, right? What if we put just like, I don't know, a relatively low number of zeros here? I'm going to put 12 zeros at the end of this number, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't know what that number that is. It's like a trillion or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's still working. Let's do another 8. At some point, I think this stops working. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Let's try this. What do I have to do here? Oh, I have to add it together somehow. Let's see. I'm going to take 5 and I'm going to take off 1 0. Okay. Oh, I can't break it. Dang it. Okay, so how's this work? Let's see. We'll look at this example. Oh, I had to use string. Okay. So, let's print these. Okay. Okay, so I have two lists. I had to use a list. I take a list that contains only 1 and a list that contains only 1. And then I set another variable equal to one of the two lists. Sometimes the two lists are the same, and sometimes they're not, but they are always both equal. This is crazy. And this becomes a lot more crazy if you put 1 and 1 there, in which case they're all true, or in which case you put high and high there. Oh, wait, no, that has to be the same. In which case, like, they're bizarrely true again. I don't know, right? My claim is this doesn't make sense. Does this make sense to you? Okay, cool. We could make it worse, but I think I'm just, like, straining the point. Okay, so, anyways, I want to provide you some evidence that I'm not the only person that thinks this. So in 2005, some guy, shout out some guys, right? Without some guy, we I don't even know where we'd be. We'd be somewhere else other than where we are. This some guy's Joel Spolsky. He's a software developer, so pour one out for him. He had a good run. Now he develops software. This is the person that invented Stack Overflow. I think you as students are like maybe slightly less into Stack Overflow because you're a few years downstream of like AI and stuff. It was not possible to finish undergrad CS without Stack Overflow for like 20 years. Like, you just couldn't do it. Basically, most programs have now stopped using textbooks because there's no reason to, because Stack Overflow exists, right? And now Wikipedia has actually closed a lot of the gap as well, so that's very good. But anyways, this is the person that invented being able to finish undergraduate computer science programs. Here he is on an unhinged rant about how bad it is that Java is taught. Oh, what year did this come out? Oh, 2005. In 2005, it was wrong to teach this. Okay, all right, so I'm not mad. Okay. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, we have to teach Java because even until 2014, Java was a wildly popular language. But what's this? What's this? This is the Java line? What's it? The Java line is in free fall? It's falling off a cliff? People aren't writing Java anymore? That's crazy. What are they writing instead? Oh, hey, look, Python's doing the exact opposite. That's so interesting. Go down here, not very cringe at all. I taught C last year. Rust is not on this. Rust will be on this in a few years. It might even be on here by now. This is from 2023. Well, I don't know. We can check. Top 10 programming languages. Ruby has basically fallen out of favor because TypeScript is good. A lot of us thought Ruby would stick around, but okay, now number 2 is going to be Java, but just don't look at that, okay? Right, that's bad. Let's see, Rust, it's going up. Okay, this is what I'm teaching. That's the other language I'm teaching. Okay, so anyways, Python's winning, but you can see, I'm guessing, what is this? What language is that? Can anyone see that? JavaScript? Gross. What's way up here? Oh, Python! Oh, look, Python's number 1. Okay. And it's in decline a little bit. Mostly, I think it's losing to a little bit JavaScript and a little bit Rust. So, okay. So, there's also this thing that when you teach Python, you're supposed to... Oh, look, it's Stack Overflow, the first result. Okay. So, nominally, in the olden days, when people were trying to get persuaded by each other and to persuade their companies to let them write in Python so that they could write code instead of suffer, right? There was this idea going around of writing Pythonic code, which is that you can write absolutely atrocious code in Python, which I'm going to prove to you for the rest of this semester, right? But you can also write good code in Python, and when you write good code in Python, it's called Pythonic, because the language tries to force you to write good code, right? But it's like not quite opinionated enough. So there's this notion of writing things Pythonically, which is how you would write them in Python. Today I'm going to teach you something that is not Pythonic. At the end of last class, I introduced the record type, and I said you can implement records, which is just like a course like CS151, and you can either put it in a list or a tuple. The other Pythonic way to do that is a dictionary, which we're not even teaching yet. And now I'm going to teach the unPythonic way, which is where you put it in a class. Why would you put it in a class? The only reason you would put it in a class is if you're trying to teach people to write Java by teaching them Python. That's my opinion. My opinion could be wrong. But today I'm going to teach you the only wrong way to use record types. Okay. Are any of you in Data 151? That the R programming language is the other type of language other than these sort of object class-oriented languages. It's a functional language. So if you find yourself liking R, you should study computer science because that means you like computer science, right? Okay. So again, right, like I don't make the rules, right? Though I would make really good rules if I were allowed to make them, right? Like they'd probably be like really funny rules too. Okay. A class is a kind of thing. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm using the term kind, but I've also used the term type. One, the type of one is the class int, which is short for integer. They're not quite the same thing as the integers, right? So when I say, hey, what kind of thing? Every kind of thing in Python is basically a class. And I think there's like not really exceptions to this, right? Because built-in function or method is a class. I think if I just write a function, we'll say f of x is that's gonna be 2x. So that's a great function right there. They call it the 2x function. Oh, that is also a class. Is there something I should put in here that you think is not a class? What's the weirdest thing I could put in here? None? Is none weird? Let's try it. We'll just return none real quick. Oh, that's the class none type. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I bet the type of class none type isn't a class, right? That's what you were thinking? No problem, I got you. Oh, that's a class too. Oh. So you've probably seen like this one before. You've seen addition. I'm pretty sure we can get to addition. I'm going to try it. Pretty sure we can get to addition by using a method inside of integers, right? Because there's stuff inside those integers. So I think I can say dot underscore add underscore x. Okay, so that's how you can add numbers in Python, right? And remember, I didn't want to show you this, right? Big Java is making me do this, right? Sun Microsystems are now Oracle, I think, right? Okay. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, why don't we just not apply that function to anything? Let's just look at the function directly. Surely that thing, surely x dot underscore underscore add underscore underscore, I bet that's not a class. It isn't, right? It's a method wrapper add of int object. That is something that is inside of a class. We found one, right? Because this thing, oh, wait, no. Wait, we're not checking the type? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, it is a class. It's the class method. Okay, so I got you. You thought I found something that wasn't a class. No. In fact, the int is itself a class, right? And then if we look inside the int, we just, well, let's see. Invalid decimal literal. I wonder if I can do this. Oh, we're back to being a class, right? So it's classes all the way down, folks. So there's the famous story about how like the Earth is flat, and they're like, "What's the Earth balanced on?" And they're like, "Oh, it's on the back of a turtle." And then it's like, "What's the turtle stand on?" It's turtles all the way down, right? It's classes all the way down. It's everything's made out of classes. Classes are like atoms or better subatomic particles, right? So everything's classes. I'm sorry, I know. I wanted to teach a different language. That's not true. I like Python. I just didn't want to tell you this about Python because I think it's evil and bad and wrong. Okay, so a class is a kind of thing. Numbers are a great example. Strings are a great example. Lists are a great example. I probably wouldn't say there's any other great examples. And when I say numbers, I do mean the integers, but also the floats, right? So 2.0. I have a lot of friends here. Just bear with me. There we go. That's a float. So in Python, everything is part of or a member of, and the common term is we say the instance of some class. What is a class? A class is a combination of data and operations. The operations we call methods, the data we call attributes, right? So every object, like 2, or the list 2, 3, or the string hello, is an instance of a class. You can think of this in terms of courses and classes, right? So this term is the spring. No, is it fall? What's fall? Fall?
Yeah.
This is the fall 2025. Yeah? The fall 2025 section or instance of CS151. There are other CS151s, but this one is slightly different, right? Its attributes differ in, for example, who is taking the class, what classroom it is in, and then it doesn't differ in what lecture is given each day, right? So everything is a class. Everything is an instance of some class. So an integer is an object of the int class, a string is an object of the str class, print is an object of the function class. And so here is basically the same example. So, yeah, look, do thing, 1 equals 1. What a great function. That's a class, right? Did I want it to be a class? No. I got bullied into it being a class. Okay. All right. What is everything in Python?
Class.
Okay, I lied to you. It's an object of a class. It's an instance of a class. Okay, but yes, good job. Okay, all right. Definitions and application. Okay. So we're going to write a class, and I've just been having a blast this last week because accidentally my upper level class and this class are doing the same thing at the same time, just in a different language. So I'm going to teach them box after lunch. I'm going to teach you box right now. What is box? Box is the class that has one thing in it. Nothing too exciting. It's like, what'd you get for Christmas? I don't know, it's in a box, right? So we're going to make our own class, and we're going to find our own class. And actually, I'm going to leave this code open here so we can just see the example of a function. This is an extremely deranged function. Let's. That's fine. Okay, that doesn't look as bad. Okay, so I'm going to create a new class, and I feel like this class should be in a file of the same name, actually. Nah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to create a class. I'm going to create the class box, and I can't just write class space box colon because I have to have an indented new line after that colon. So I'm just going to write pass in there for now, and you could write anything. You can write a tautology. You can write print, right? And so that's allowed. But by convention, we write pass when we don't want anything to happen there, right? So this is the minimal example of a class. What can I do with a class? Well, classes are a little bit different than functions. How do they differ? Well, they do not accept arguments, or they're not required to accept arguments. And I think that is allowed. You can put the parens there, but you do not have to. So you can just write the class keyword, like the def keyword, space, and then the name of your class. By convention, capitalized. So usually we capitalize our boxes. What can we do with a class? Well, we can box. We can use the class the same way we have been using functions. And this doesn't necessarily do anything too exciting, but we can print out what it does. Oh, and what is this? I am getting a box object. Main is just the name of this file. A box object, I don't know what I clicked. Run again. We're getting a box object at a certain location, and then we can also print out the type of box. And it is a class box. Okay. What can I do with this? Well, you can do all kinds of nonsense. Most of it evil. Okay. So usually when I'm making a box, or any other class, I usually use the first initial of the class name, B, and I lowercase it. So you may have noticed I've been saying GW equals Gwindo for approximately 10,000 years. Mm-hmm. That's just the first two letters, right? And I'm always tempted to do this one. And you've seen me do R equals Grect, right? Because I'm not about to type GR. That's GR, right? That's taken by tigers, right? I'm a human, so I just say right? That's fine. Okay. So we can make a box, we can print the box, we can print the type of the box. Can we add boxes together? Is that allowed? Ooh, no it's not. No it's not. See, I know none of you thought you could add boxes together. That's fine, right? I just had to demonstrate to you can't do it, right? Unsupported, look at all of this nonsense, right? Okay, but then if we just print out the type, then we'll be okay. Okay. So, congratulations. Now you've learned object-oriented programming, and now you can go work for a company, right? Okay. So, what are we going to call this? Versus when we have a function, return x plus x. When we have a function, and we set, I don't know, x, we'll say x, y equals f of 2. When we write a function, we have a return statement that determines the type of the thing we get back. With a class, that is not true. With a class, the sort of definition determines the type of thing we get back. So this will always be a class. I cannot write return here. I will get sent directly to jail. Return outside a function. Now I am allowed to just write pass inside this function, but that just means that I'm going to return none. I'm missing a paren. Okay. So, versus functions, when we sort of call a class the same way we call a function or apply, I have often used the term we apply the function f to the argument 2. We're not applying this to an argument. Rather, what we're doing is creating an instance of a function. So I use the term instantiation when I'm creating a new class, and I differentiate that from application for function. So this is instantiation because we create an instance. Application, do a compute operation over some data. One of the ways to think of this is that classes are about remembering things and functions are about doing things. So I think of one of them as data, one of them as compute. So this is how we instantiate a class. Okay. Attributes. Classes can hold data inside of them. This is basically like putting variables inside of another variable. We call them attributes. Attributes is the technical term. I called them fields for 15 years until I taught this class. Read the textbook that you've all read and saw they were called attributes in the textbook, right? So let's make two competing formulations. Let's make the class box and let's make the function boxify. Does boxify do anything? It just returns. That's fine. Okay. So just to sort of keep my head on straight here, I just tried to throw ify on the end of this in order to what is happening? Okay, boxify. Okay. Okay, I'm going to say one other thing. Don't listen to this. Big IDE, so VS Code, you only need to have these sort of like heavyweight applications that help you write code if you're using an object-oriented language, because they don't make sense. Everyone that writes the other languages just writes them in a text editor. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Forget I said that. Okay, VS Code is fine. I know you like VS Code. You're supposed to like VS Code. If you don't like VS Code, you should major in computer science, right? Okay, so all right. So we got our box and we got our boxify, right? So let's go ahead and play around with them. So I'm going to do my favorite thing. I'm going to set a variable equal to some value, and I'm going to change this so that we know we're gonna have a variable in there. Oh, Xbox is canceled right now. Okay, just pretend I don't like Xboxes or something. It's not my fault they lost the console wars. Okay, so we're going to say x equals to 360, because what do you see, or what do you do when someone offers you an Xbox 360?
You take it.
No, you turn 360 degrees and walk away. Have you never heard this one? Oh my gosh.
You walk into the Xbox.
No, it's a joke. Hold on, turn 360.
I mean, the
Yes,
Xbox
yes.
360 is arguably the best one.
Turn 360 degrees and walk away. Yeah, it's an old. Okay, I'm not looking at Reddit in class. Okay, right? Someone started a joke basically. Why do they call it the Xbox 360? Because when you see it, you turn 360 degrees and walk away. That's so funny, right? That's so funny. Yes. Okay, so we've got the Xbox 360, right? So, turn 360, walk away. Okay, and then we're also going to put a 360 in Xboxify, and this one's going to be for Charlie XCX. We all know Charlie. Do I have to play Charlie XCX 360 in class?
I would not mind this.
No? Okay, that was a trick question. I'm currently streaming on YouTube, and I'll get banned for life if I do that, okay? I know you're all trying to get my YouTube banned. I tricked you into admitting it, right? Okay, so, well, I could turn the sound off. Oh, I'm already not capturing desktop audio. Okay, wait, is the video safe? I'm not going to open a Charlie XCX video in class, right? I love her. She doesn't necessarily wear what I call clothes all the time, right? So, like, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just, yeah, I always wear clothes. Okay, so let's create an Xbox, okay?
b equals xbox. Okay, and let's go. Let's print some stuff out. Let's print b. Let's print the type of b. We already know this, and then we're going to print. What are we going to do? We're going to take b and we're going to look inside b and we're going to ask for b's x, right? Maybe they're still on good terms. If you're not on good terms with your ex, that's a you problem. Okay, okay, and then we're going to do, I'm not going to use b again. We're going to do c because it's letter after b. Xboxify. What are we doing? Okay, we're going to print c. We're going to print the type of c. And then we're going to print c dot x. Okay, what's going to happen here? Lots of stuff is going to happen, right? Okay, so, wait, can I pin this right? Let's see. Right. Cool. Okay. Remember when I said you only need VS Code when you're doing this stuff? That's true. That's not a lie. Okay, so print B. B is a class Xbox. So this is B. It has a location in memory, and it is an object of type Xbox. Its type is class Xbox, and its X is 360. Okay? Then we're going to take C, which is Xboxify. Xboxify is going to return none. So this is none. None is of class none type, right? And then we can't actually see the X value inside of functions by asking the function for that X value. So that's an error. So if you want to store variables inside of something, for example, if you want to store a ball inside of a graphics window, you have to put it inside one of these objects. Now, let me show you the worst thing you've ever seen in your life, and you shouldn't remember this one either. I can say c.x equals 7, and then I can print c.x. Why is that? Let's see. Oh, because it's none. It's not none. Okay, we're going to return something. I'm going to return 360. Okay. Oh, so close here. Wait, no. There's a terrible way to do this, and I know what it is. Oh, okay. Wait, no, hold on. We're going to say c equals xboxify. And then this is going to work. Right, okay. So, is this terrible? Yes, this is objectively terrible. What am I showing you? Xboxify is an object of the function class. Okay? Are you confused yet? I need you to be confused by this. Okay, all right. So get as confused as you can. Okay, so B is an object of the Xbox class. C is an object of the function class. Right? Okay, that's cool, right? So we print out B and we say, oh, okay, it's an object, right? Object of the Xbox, right? C, Xboxify, is a function, so it's an object of the function class. Okay, so the type of B is it's an Xbox, and the type of C is it's a function. Then we can look at the X inside of this class, because there's one there, and we can see that it's 360. But we can also put a 7 inside of this class, of this object of a class, right? Because you can put attributes in any object, right? Within reason, I think. And then I can see c.x, and I can see that there's a 7 in there. We can do the same thing here. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. b.x equals 7. Okay, so you can do the same thing. As soon as you have an instance of a class or an object of a class, you can put stuff inside of it. And you can put really crazy stuff inside of it too, okay? I'm gonna get a little crazy, okay? You know I love putting print inside things, right? You know that. You all know. You know it's like my guilty pleasure, right? And what that means is I can say b.x of hello world, and I can say c.x of hello world, and it's going to print out hello world. So I can put functions inside of my classes, right? And what is that function? Well, that function is an object of class function. So I took a class, okay, I need you to be confused. C is an object of class function that has an attribute, x, which is an object of class function. So I put an object of class function as an attribute of an object of class function. Moving on. Again, if you don't like this, I would really like you to major in computer science. My team needs all the help we can get because we don't get paid, right? Like imagine you're like doing a job interview and someone's like, how would you do this in Java? And you say, I don't, right? Then you have to go to grad school, right? That's what it happens to people. Okay, so I'm showing you the same unhinged things I showed you here. Okay, so everyone knows that shortly after the Xbox 360, we got the Xbox One, which is named for the loneliest number and also the song from Lazy Town by the Villains.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay. Is it Lazy Town? Okay, Lazy Town sounds like a made-up name, but all things are made up. Except the integers, which are immortal. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's try and set this up so that we can sort of change what type of Xbox we have, because maybe we don't want an Xbox 360, maybe we want an Xbox One. Those are the only two types of Xbox.
Only two.
There's also the Xbox Vanilla. Xbox, turn 360 and walk away. And they called this one the Xbone, which I thought was hilarious. The Xbox Series X and Series S. That doesn't sound real.
I have the Series X.
Do you call it the Series X, or do you say like my Xbox?
I just call it my Xbox.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like it's an Xbox.
But
Okay.
that's the model. That's the
Yeah,
that's what they call it. No.
it's an Xbox. All right, so are there still like console exclusives?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
There are.
Yeah.
I like PlayStation still has some sometimes.
Well, there's
The next-
Bloodborne.
Like the next Spider-Man game.
Or sorry, there could be anything. I wouldn't know. Is what I meant to say. Yeah.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure like the next Halo game's coming to PS5 or something.
There are no more Xboxes.
Has anyone played Halo in the last 20 years?
No.
Like Halo was washed when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
No one played it. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, like Master Chief, more like Apprentice Chief. I don't know.
I think I was gonna make the exact same
Don't
thing.
worry about it too hard.
Okay,
Noob Chief.
so if you want to have a different type of Xbox, the way you're supposed to do this is with writing an initialization method. What? That doesn't make any sense. Correct, it does not make any sense. Nothing makes any sense anymore. Everything is weird and wrong. Okay, def. Okay, so you've seen some pretty ludicrous stuff in this class, right? But remember when I did this? I might be yelling too much. We might be in trouble. Okay. Wait, yeah, see there's a 4 there? Right, because obviously this is how you add two numbers together, right? Y'all weren't using the plus sign, were you? That's a rookie mistake, right? But that means that there's all these things inside all of the classes that have double underscore methods on them, and one of them is init. So there's the init method. And we can probably just initialize that here, and then what happens? We get none back, right? Okay, that makes perfect sense. So we can go ahead and write init, def, underscore, underscore, init, underscore, underscore. And I think we put brackets there. Does that sound right? Well, we'll put brackets there for now. Let's declutter a little bit. And then we're going to say x equals 360. Okay. Let's take B. We'll make our Xbox. All right. What else do we do? Let's try. Wait. Do you see how that X is a little bit faded out? It's not accessed. I wonder if that's a problem. Okay. Print b.x. Wait. Xbox init takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given? What does that mean? That's crazy. Okay, so we should write something that takes 0 positional. We should try and get that same error, right? So I'm going to say f of 0, because that is 0 positional arguments. I'm going to return 7. And then how do I get that same error? Well, let's comment these out. I think if I say f of 2, I'm going to get the same error. So this is, I've provided one positional argument to f, even though f accepts 0 positional arguments. That's the same error I got with init. But there's no argument here. I didn't put an argument in there. I'm not saying like box of 7, right? So what's going on here? So here's the shenanigan. You just put something here, and then you print whatever that argument is, and then you know. Okay, so it's going to print out what it is. So I'm going to just put an x here. I'm going to print out x. Well, I shouldn't do x. We'll do a. Okay. Then we'll get rid of this nonsense because we don't need that anymore. It's no longer serving us. Okay. What's that? What's that? Okay, no, let's get rid of this line. That's just clearing things up. Okay, so when we initialize our Xbox, this function, it's not a function, this method, this class, whatever it is, right? It implicitly is given the argument of an Xbox, right? So the only place we're printing is right here inside init. And init is printing an Xbox, but an instance of Xbox, not the Xbox itself. And I want to reiterate this makes perfect sense, okay? All right. So by convention, we call that self. Let me say self, okay. Okay, all right. So then that's going to work. Okay, we're looking at self, right? Let's say we also want to provide an argument, so we'll give the x, and we'll give 7. We can print x. Okay, so then we can see the 7. And then let's take a look at b of x. Oh no! Oh, the Xbox object has no attribute x. It shouldn't have an attribute x for the following reason. This x right here, both of these x's, they're x's that are inside. We have historically called this a function. When the function is inside of a class, it is called a method. So I'm going to go back and forth, and then I will only be saying method by the end of the term. So inside of this method, this is init x. This is not Xbox's x. To refer to Xbox's x, we have to do something even more unhinged, which is we have to ask for self. We have to put an x inside self, and we have to assign that x to be equal to the value of the x inside the function. So this is taking an outer x and assigning it to be equal to the inner x. But okay, it's not as bad. We don't have to call them all x. I'm going to call this one val. Okay, this is going to make it slightly easier to tell them apart. Okay, and now finally, at long last, we can turn 360 and walk away. Yes! Oh, we did it. Okay. I guess it wouldn't be apprentice chief. It would be like apprentice peon or something, right? You would negate both terms. Huh? Pupil chief? Pupil. I feel like you should negate chief, too. Like pupil peasant. They call me pupil peasant. Spartan 1-1. I don't know.
Alliteration's already gone something.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how you do that. You know what def means. Init is a special built-in name. If you name this anything else, it just doesn't go. That doesn't work. So init is a special name. It's sort of like, remember how like main was special sometimes and stuff like that? So init is just a special name. Init may accept arguments, and it may accept a lot of arguments. Val, other val, why not? Just slap a, I don't know, one of these in there. Yeah, still the same thing, right? So you can give arguments to your class while you're setting it up. Self refers to the object being instantiated. This is just super fundamentally weird. But if you print self, it kind of makes sense. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to print self, and I'm going to print b, and it's going to print the same thing. So notice these are at the same location. They're at the same location because they're referring to the same thing. When I talk about self and I'm inside of Xbox while I'm initializing it, that's the same. This self is the thing I return back and assign to B. So those are the same B's. Okay. Sometimes they call them the bee's knees. Okay. They never do. I made that up. I'm telling lies. Okay. Sorry. I'll try and bring it in. This is what I've shown you already. Are we missing anything here? I think we're completely locked in, actually. Yes. Right. The thing I was building up to is always remember the difference between the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. Okay. All got that? Great. Good job. Anyways, if you found today confusing, please declare your CS major. Just send me an email and copy the registrar, okay? If you didn't find today confusing, do the same thing, right? It's the universal set. Okay, you don't have to major in CS for me to respect you, so I don't want to give that impression. There's also, you can major in philosophy or linguistics, for example, and that would be fine. Are there other majors here?
There's a couple.
Okay. I'm gonna guess a topic and tell me if it's a major. Okay. Software engineering. Wait, we do. Then wait. Oh, now I'm even more confused. Clownery.
Not at the school.
Oh, that's too bad. I think I'd be really good in a clownery school.
I think clown school is actually like ridiculously hard. From what
Well,
I've heard.
isn't it like super competitive because there's not that many clowns and everyone wants to be one?
I think there's also sort of just like humiliation rituals.
Oh, that's fine for me. That wouldn't be a problem. So what I would love to happen is you to all pop open your image shops and ask me if you have any questions. Is that okay for like 5 minutes?
I would
Okay.
love that.
Yeah. Well then, let it be so.
Let it be so.
Shatner, right? Let it 11/22 worship 2023. That's probably not what I'm looking for. Was this not a Trek thing? Star Trek. Make it so. Make it so. It was Picard, who's a completely different person than the other one. Kirk.
Well,
Trek studies.
no. Rotation is question mark? The lists need to be enclosed.
Well, they do, but now it's a tuple, so it's actually kind of okay. Yeah, I know. I didn't want it to work either, but it's fine, right? So, what do we want to do? What we actually want to do is for row in our print row. Okay. Okay. And I will put it in lists because we should. It's poor form not to use them. Okay. So we want to rotate this. So we'll do a rotate right. So we want the 1 to be here, the 3 to be here, the 9 to be here, and the 7 to be there. So how do we do that? Well, let's see. We want this. Let's see. So you're going to make a new row. Let's see. For row in R, that's not what you want to do. For okay, we're gonna do I and J. For I in range len R. For J in range len R0. And then we're gonna print out R I J. We'll just print this for now. Then we're going to change the order we print it out in. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The first thing we want to see is a 7. 7 is the first element of the third column. So maybe we want to go backwards here. Let's see, first element, third column. I'm going to be tired of writing length a bunch, so I'm going to say L equals len R. and I'm going to use L everywhere, okay? So this is going to be L. This only works with squares. Is that fine? Okay. What's this do? Oop. Or L minus J. Okay. Okay, so that's 3, 2, 1. So that's backwards. Okay, that's fine. Let's swap these. What's that? 7, 4, 1. That's it. Yeah. And so now, instead of printing that, we're going to say row equals this. We're going to add to the row. I might have to, we'll append. I think append works. New, I'm just going to call it new R. New R dot append row. We'll try this. Oh. Is that right? Okay, I'm going to print some new lines. Okay. Is that a rotate? So I think it is, because that says 741, and this says 741. That says 1, 2, 3. That says 1, 2, 3. So what happened? I inverted one dimension, and then I changed the order of the dimensions.
That's basically what I did, except there's like more stuff in it.
Yeah, that's fine. You need more stuff when it's not squares. Let's.
So I had it with like height and width, but like that math thing is the same. So,
And this is the rotation in the other direction.
Yes.
So that just changes the direction of your rotation. Okay. And probably what you're actually supposed to do here, where am I doing J? You don't actually have to do all this math here. You can just do L, 0, negative 1. We have a list index error, so I'm going to do L minus 1, negative 1. This is the problem with reverse ranges in Python. They just look atrocious. Look at it. Like, there's 3 minus 1s. And none of them mean anything. Right? Just like... Wait, no, I have an awful idea. I don't know if we can do this. Hold on. You can leave if you want. I would want to leave too. There we go. Got him!
Oh yeah, that's like for that. It's not that evil, I don't think.
I mean, it's correct.
Yeah.
so bad that I had to get a new
Famously, if it works, it works. Famously, if it works, it works.